Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the healthcare industry. It's enabling doctors to spend less time on administrative tasks so that they can focus on more meaningful patient interactions. This changes our experience with healthcare, every single person around the globe. Behind the scenes, though, processes are also being streamlined and routine tasks are being automated. The result is often more timely, accurate, and practical results for both providers and patients. And telemedicine with AI assisted diagnostics is delivering care to remote communities all over the globe. We have seen breakthrough developments that are truly changing the way care is delivered. With so many exciting changes taking place across the industry, I'm incredibly excited to be joined today by two industry experts who can talk us through some of the biggest challenges and opportunities facing healthcare. I'd like to first welcome Doug McMillian, a healthcare strategist with CDW. Thanks for being here, Doug.
Thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure and truly an exciting time for healthcare.
And we also have Austin Park, founder and CEO of Sapphire Health, joining us. Welcome, Austin.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here as well.
So, I think we're all familiar with some of the healthcare industry's longstanding challenges, things like staffing shortages and patient scheduling, or the need to improve resource management, and the ultimate desire that we all have, doctors, healthcare professionals, and patients, for patients actually to be provided more personalized treatments. Can you both expand a bit on some of the specific challenges you're seeing and working with your teams at Microsoft to address? Doug, why don't you go first?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I talk to C-level leadership across the nation, we definitely see just some of the major themes come across multiple of our customers. They're still continuing shrinking margins and rising costs, so trying to be as efficient with the financial aspects from an IT perspective. We still see a lot of aging healthcare or tech debt really still permeating the healthcare organizations, which obviously leads to just multiple issues going forward. Then we see the need to integrate more technology and bring automation for efficiency. But the biggest one that I think we like to focus on from an AI perspective is we're seeing just tons of clinician burnout. And obviously, we're asking them to do more and more things with fewer resources, which obviously detracts from the core goal of patient care.
Now we're absolutely seeing that. Austin, any thoughts from your side?
Well, that's a really good point that Doug brought up about about physician burnout. I think we're all looking for ways to be more efficient. And there's some good examples in AI already, like things like in-basket improvements so that physicians can kind of focus more on time with their patients. I think one of the biggest challenges, though, we're seeing is the ability to collect all the data in healthcare. Obviously, we've got privacy concerns, we've got ethical concerns. So being able to just figure out how to collect all the data so that we can apply it for AI, I think in healthcare is a big challenge. Other challenges, of course, we're constantly under pressure to provide better experiences, both to the clinicians and to the physicians. And that better experience requires that we take new innovations and incorporate it in faster. It means that we've got to provide better performing resources. And that's hard to do when most healthcare systems are on a very long, 5 or 3 year capital refresh algorithm. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do today, leveraging resources like Azure to be able to make that possible.
Like with my doctors, they're now able to look at me because they turned Dragon on, which is automating a lot of the conversation and entering it into the electronic medical record. So instead of them focusing on the screen, my doctors are now looking at me. And it's transforming like even my engagement, and they're noticing different things. And I feel like I'm having a much more intimate conversation with my physician. And that equates to feeling like I have better medical care. So I think it's pretty exciting what we're all doing. So as we're looking at some of these challenges that we're all talking about here, Microsoft is also working with a host of healthcare technology partners like you to drive the innovation across the sector. Can you tell us how that innovation, including AI, is changing healthcare from your lens?
The relationship or the interaction that you're describing not only helps create that bond between the clinician and the patient, but it also allows the clinician to capture more accurate information. And I think that's important because then we can use that accurate information to try and create comparisons and look at data in a more effective way to figure out if there are patterns that might match. And I think ultimately get better clinical outcomes. But I mean, I think to the point, much of what healthcare is looking at is this massive amount of data that healthcare operations can produce. So there's so much data in there and so much value that we can actually get out of it, but it's difficult to do that.
The ambient listening is something that has just widely been adopted. I still expect that to grow multiple over the next few years. It's capturing better documentation as we're going forward. But to your point, when we were talking about that, it leads to a better patient satisfaction, right? And that's the whole point, right? Is you can actually finally do what you're actually supposed to do as a clinician and actually focus in on that patient care. So we see other, use cases around AI that is actually permeating the market as well. One of the ones we see a lot is trying to utilize vision AI and actually using, a standardized camera or a teleplatform across the entire organization, and then layer in AI on top of the same camera, right? So you're still providing the normal needs around telehealth, telenurse, telesitter, but then you're also getting into how do I automate documentation because I have seen something take place with a camera, therefore I do not have to physically go into the EHR and actually manually document something. You already know it took place.
Yeah, Doug, it's fun because even thinking about oftentimes we're given from a physician, perhaps like exercises we're supposed to do. If you do that in front of a camera now, the AI can coach you on how to do those exercises at home more effectively. That's amazing. Think of that ability for the average patient actually to take care of their own health with a coach through AI versus actually having to go to a physical therapist to make sure that they're doing everything effectively. We need both. But boy, does that put that power back in our hands to make sure that we're doing the right things to get healthier all the time. Well, I love hearing about some of the doctor's administrative tasks that are being automated with AI, and that can allow us, as we've all been discussing here, more time to focus time and energy on those patient interactions. Can we touch on the ways you're working with Microsoft to enable the progress? Doug, maybe you can chime in here.
Yes, Microsoft to us is just one of those core partnerships that we see throughout the healthcare industry. And there's a couple of I would say, core Microsoft platforms that to me are essential for how we're going to be moving forward in healthcare IT. First is obviously just Azure itself, right? So we all know that and I think I mentioned up front, some of the tech debt and some of the things that are going on inside of the data center themselves. You want to be able to move again away from capital-based investments, move towards an operating, change up your IT operations to be able to be super flexible, super agile. A cloud-based transformation enables a lot of that within a healthcare IT. So we do see things like your EHR shifting Epic to Azure, things like that that have just become a core staple inside of healthcare IT. So Azure is meeting that need in leaps and bounds. And then the other is obviously to drive a lot of this AI adoption is kind of getting into what I would say is just the core data platforms, right? So now we start looking at data governance, data modernizations, then leading into the advanced analytics and AI. So we see that Microsoft Fabric is really positioned healthcare organizations to be able to take advantage of all of these.
Austin, some thoughts from your end?
Yeah, I think I can just reiterate some of what Doug said. The change from capital to OpEx has been a big change for healthcare organizations, and we're working with Microsoft to help people. As I mentioned before about getting that performance and the some of the better user experience that the people are looking for. I think when we've migrated the major applications that health systems rely on to Azure, what we're finding is that we can actually apply new technology much faster than we were able to before. That's translating to direct performance gains that will translate to better user experience. I think that's certainly that speaks for itself why that's valuable. But I think one of the things that's happening is that we're creating trust with not only the clinicians but the users and overall to provide the information and data. We're able to leverage technology that provides safeguards around that data as well as privacy technology. So I think overall, it's creating an ecosystem that allows organizations to start to leverage and invest more into AI technology by moving more of these assets and applications over to Azure. One of the things that we were noticing is that as we bring people over to the cloud, the the improvement in performance was all kind of theoretical, but we're getting some real solid data back. So, like in Epic running organizations that we work with, one of the things that we're looking for is when clinicians actually go to a specific workflow, they get an exception rate back if it doesn't respond in a timely fashion to what we expect. And the amount of exceptions that we get back are dramatically lower when we move these workloads to Azure. And I think that's a big gain for them and something that we're excited about.
Austin, I love hearing about this network of all the technology and what's possible. I also think that there's a network effect amongst the experts and the doctors, the ability to consult across hospital systems across the globe if you're traveling somewhere and get the best care. So even as a patient, the network effect that we're seeing on the technology translates into my comfort level. If all of a sudden I'm in Denmark and something happens, I know that my physicians in Denmark can consult with my physicians in the United States and give me the best care that I possibly could have. It's mind-boggling what we're able to do these days so quickly and efficiently. But as AI and all these technology innovations are evolving in the healthcare space, what advice do you actually have for the providers who want to integrate more AI into their practices?
Start with some of the foundational items, right? I think we've all been in IT long enough to know that, garbage in, garbage out. So we always like to start with the basics, right? So again, each organization that we talk to is at different journeys around some of the just data governance, data modernizations, right? Making sure you have strict governance processes to provide a solid data foundation. That all will ensure the effectiveness of the AI solutions that you're looking for in the future. And then I would also split up some of the AI things that we're seeing into AI as a feature versus AI as a product or AI as a factory, so things that you're building yourself. Uh, Feature-based AI solutions definitely, I think, are something you should immediately just evaluate, and if they're meeting the need for the organization, right? So if you have that true business need for it, make sure that you're moving forward with those features because it will bring efficiency. But as you already hear, clear use cases, right? You can't take technology and then search for a problem. You want to have a problem and then look for technology of how to address it.
Just having some conversations. That's the other thing. We work in some health systems where the physicians are very apprehensive about, not only privacy, but what AI is doing overall. So I think having open dialogue, transparency in the algorithms, and, having a good governance, as Doug mentioned, I think is very important. So those are things that I think every organization should kind of start with when they look at their AI journey.
It is a journey, right? And it is a different way of looking at how do we best serve our patients? How do we unlock some of the innovation and the cures out there that we've been searching for so long? Austin, Doug, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your insights with all of us today. To learn more about what AI in healthcare can look like in action, please read our companion blog, Microsoft and Partners Make More Possible in Healthcare. It gets into more specifics about how CDW and Sapphire Health are empowering organizations and industry to target specific challenges. There are a number of great resources included for those who want to learn more. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina.